falsely accusing the CIA of playing a major role in the drug trade, a allegation debunked by the Republican-hating papers, Washington Post, New York Times, and the LA Times? About that Houston Fed DEA probe I told you about? Maxine Waters wrote to then Attorney General Janet Reno, called the investigation racially motivated, demanded an end to it. One local DEA agent later publicly stated, and I'm quoting, "The Justice Department in Washington turned their backs on a good agent and a good investigation. It appears the object was to get them to stop their investigation, and it appears that it worked." End of quote. The irony, of course, is that this is the same woman who's accusing the CIA of playing a major role in the cocaine trade. And here she is interfering with a joint Fed DEA probe into a friend of her husband who was accused of being engaged in the cocaine trade. I told you about the letter that Maxine Waters sent to Fidel Castro. Maxine Waters called President George Herbert Walker Bush a racist. Quote, "I would like to say very clearly that I believe George Herbert Walker Bush is a racist." By the way, she routinely referred to the Republican Party as the enemy. Is that okay? Referred to the Republican LA mayor out here where I am, Richard Riordan, as, quote, "a plantation owner," close quote. The former mayor did not own a plantation as far as I know. That okay? How about when she phoned the then Secretary of Treasury, Hank Paulson, 2008, asking for a meeting to talk about financially distressed minority banks? He agreed, had a meeting. One bank asked for a special bailout, received $12 million. A bank in which Maxine Waters and her husband own shares, and on whose board her husband once served. She didn't disclose this to Paulson, got the money, later on was investigated by an ethics inquiry at the House, pulled out the race card, the investigation went supernova. And now, same person who wrote Fidel Castro a letter accuses Donald Trump of being in Putin's pocket. I kid you not. Has anybody demanded that she lose her committee assignments? What about when she referred to the LA riots as a rebellion? She called it, quote, "a spontaneous reaction to a lot of injustice and a lot of alienation and frustration." And regarding the looters, she said this: "There were mothers who took this as an opportunity to take some milk, to take some bread. Mothers who took this as an opportunity to take some shoes. Maybe they shouldn't have done it, but the atmosphere was such that they did it. They're not crooks." End of quote. She also said this about the riots in 1992. Quote, "One lady said her children didn't have any shoes. She just saw those shoes there, a chance for all her children to have some new shoes. Gee, damn it. It was such a tearjerker, I might have gone in and taken them for her myself." End of quote. What about the guy or gal who owns the shoe store? By the way, she routinely referred to it as a rebellion. Do you know what is written in a lot of the business insurance clauses, insurance contracts that people have to operate a business? There's a clause that exempts the insurance company from paying during a, wait for it, rebellion. And she used that word over and over and over again. And I know for a fact that there was some consideration on the part of insurance companies not to pay off claims because, after all, according to a influential congresswoman, highly respected, it was a rebellion. So therefore, we don't have to pay. Anybody suggest she should be removed? And what about telling people to surround Trump cabinet members, get in their faces, let them know they're not welcome anywhere anymore? By the way, she was asked about this the other day. And she said, it's not the same thing. I wasn't asking people to riot. I wasn't asking people to insurrection. Neither was Trump. Finally, please explain something to me. How is it that this man, Al Sharpton, is a kingmaker? Look up Al Sharpton, Google Al Sharpton kingmaker, and stand back. all of these Democrats went in there and kissed his ring. A guy who got famous falsely accusing a white former assistant DA of raping a black teenager has never apologized for it?